Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On this show, we talk about self-care that transcends what we normally consider to be self-care. And that's because we're not just focusing on what we do to the outside of ourselves, we're focusing on what we do to the inside. And that's what I find makes a transformational difference that you don't really have to go back and deal with over and over. It sets a new bar. And so instead of self-care being all of these different steps of things that we decide we want to do, it becomes a way of being. It's a journey, and that's why we often need a guide. So I'm here for you, and I often have guests on the show, and today my guest is someone who's going to be speaking at the Courageous Self-Care Festival that's coming up later this fall. It's getting closer and closer. I'm getting excited. So I love that we can connect from all over the world online, and that we can do programs online. And then at the same time, just how we have internal and external self-care, it's important to not only connect online in front of a screen, it's also so valuable as human beings to connect in person, where we can hug each other, we can have physical contact, we can look at each other's faces in 3D and experience each other's energy. That's why I wanted to create a festival. So today I have with me Ramona Remesat. Ramona, welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Ramona and I have been spending a lot of time together doing various interviews, so we are back again together today. And Ramona, if this is our listeners' first time in meeting you, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're up to?
Who am I? A woman of many talents. So I'm an intuitive guidance coach and speaker and co-author of 2 Amazon bestsellers. But my real passion, and I know that's a buzzword, but truly it is, it's to help women really hone their intuition, really learn how to use it purposefully and how to access it on demand in order to navigate this crazy world that we live in, because it is getting crazier by the day. And I feel like our intuition is kind of like a secret power that we all have, but it's kind of gotten buried and people have forgotten about it. And they're constantly focused on going outward to get advice and help and guidance rather than listening to their own self. So I'm all about, let's turn that back around. Let's get that inner GPS switch turned back on, because I feel like when we put our time and energy into what we're being guided to do, life is so much easier than listening to, all the stuff our head tells us, right? Because when we follow that stuff, we typically get sent on a wackadoodle detour.
I can totally identify with what you're saying. Like, I can use yesterday as an example. Preparing for this festival has been a very large undertaking for me, and I've been putting a lot of effort into it behind the scenes. And yesterday I was feeling like if I keep on going at this pace, although my mind wants me to push through, I'm getting some other very significant signals. If I keep on pushing through, I'm not going to be well for the festival. So my intuition was telling me, take a day off, relax, stay away from the computer, do some nourishing, nurturing things. And of course, the irony of running a self-care festival is that, oh yeah, I will practice what I'm preaching. So I did follow my intuition. And today I'm feeling like I can go 50-50. I can do some work, and the rest of the day I am going to do some more nurturing stuff. And the old me would not have known that. I wouldn't have known how to listen to my intuition. I would have just pushed through and probably made myself unwell.
Right. Well, high fives, virtual high fives on that. Good.
Well, it's so valuable when we are tuned into our intuition, because like you say, we don't have to go outside of ourselves. I didn't have to check with anyone if I should take a day off. And that's the benefit of being an entrepreneur too. But I didn't have to go seek guidance outside of myself. I just tuned into what my body was telling me, what my intuition was saying, and it's exactly what I needed.
Perfect. Keep going.
So, Ramona, why is it so important to you that women learn how to access their intuition?
Really, it's because they're so overwhelmed and confused these days. I hear this over and over every event that I go to, speaking engagements, networking events, social events. They're like, oh my gosh, it's like we're in an age of information overload, because every day we're scanning the magazine covers at the checkout line in the grocery store. We're reading our self-help books. A lot of us are subscribed to different people, get these emails in from, our mentors and our gurus and different experts that we follow. And then of course we've got social media and internet stuff coming through, and family and friends. Everybody's telling us, what we quote unquote should do. And a lot of times that information conflicts, and then we're really confused. We're like, what the heck, So it's just like our heads are swirling around, and it just does have this feeling of overwhelm. So it's about how can we navigate through that and come up with an answer that we feel intuitively sits right with us, versus just what, in quotation marks, they say, right? Like, who are they, right? We hear that all the time. Well, they say this is how you should eat, or they say this is how you should exercise, or they say this is how you should grow your business. And it's like, well, who are they? Like, and how does that sit with your own self?
Right. So what do you think would happen if every single human being learned how to access their intuition and follow it? How would the world be different?
Man, would it be easier? It would be like having the proverbial Staples easy button, right? Like, you could make decisions, important decisions, strong, confident decisions with ease. And there wouldn't be that fear and the panic and the stress of like, am I choosing the right thing? You would just always know the best and most optimal choice in every situation, whether that's a business situation, a life situation. So like, yeah, it's so much easier, and it takes all that fear and stress out of it all.
So if people are, go ahead.
I said that heaven on earth is really what it would be,
Yeah. So my other curiosity around that is, if people are following their intuition, is there still room and place in the world for people to be teaching and guiding?
Absolutely. And I'm not down on coaches or experts by any means, because we don't know what we don't know, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant, whatever, and so there is a place for having to go out and get information from others. But like I said, don't always take it just at face value, because if a specialist might have told you something, or you read this really great book that everybody's raving about, or whatever, right? Like, be able to take that information in, run it through your own filters, and then come to a sense of like, does this make sense for me, right? There really is no one size fits all anything. And even if, and it's tricky, right? Because one, our ego is very seductive. And number two, if we are speaking with an expert, we figure, well, they're the expert. Like, they know what they're talking about. I went through this my own self with a health thing where I'm talking to, experts, like specialists. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they're the specialists. They've done like 20 years of medical school or whatever it is. They ought to know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, it was listening to my own inner guidance that fixed the problem, not necessarily following, what the protocol was or what the recommendations were. Right.
So, yeah. So it sounds like you're saying we benefit from learning from other people, and then it's best to take our own guidance to disseminate what's best for us from what we've learned.
Absolutely. Yeah. Learn how to kind of, like I said, really, what's the word I'm trying to say? I'm not losing, or I'm not thinking too much going on. No, but yeah, it is like taking that information through your, like I say, have like a filtering process of your own, right? Does this make sense? And ask questions, right? Don't just, like, I love my son. He's a pain in the ass sometimes because he questions everything. But at the same time, I'm glad, like, he doesn't just take everything at face value because so-and-so said, or because this book said, or he's like always like, show me the proof. Like, how did you arrive at this? Why is this maybe the recommendation on such and such or whatever, right? So feel free to ask those questions, even if it is a little intimidating, like, you're questioning a doctor, and sometimes they do look down on you and are like, well, who's the doctor in the room here? Like, but educate yourself so you can come up with an educated question. And that way, then you do feel like, okay, you know, now I can take that information. I feel like it's, you know, I've asked what I need to know, and now I'm better able to make an informed choice, you know, checking in with my own self. What is my own inner guidance saying about that?
Yeah, it makes me think about the time that I've tried a whole bunch of different ways of eating and systems, and I'm very interested in nutrition and always looking for what will best serve me. And so I've tried a whole bunch. And one time I read some books about raw cooking, well, raw eating lifestyle. And I thought, this sounds amazing. And so I bought a whole bunch of cookbooks and I ate raw and told my family, okay, guess what? We're never eating cooked food again. And then I ate raw food for probably 3 or 4 months. I felt sick the entire time. My gut was upset. And I finally listened, like the book said, you'll go through a period of time where it doesn't feel good. But I thought, I don't know if I want to keep on doing this. And so I finally tuned into the signals my body was actually giving me in that this is not for you. And as much as I wanted to believe the experts and have the same experience as them, it didn't work for me.
And that's so interesting that you shared that, because I did that for about a month. I signed up for a 30-day raw diet challenge because I felt like intuitively I needed to make some dietary change, but I didn't really know what that looked like. So this came across my plate and I'm like, oh, I'm going to try this. And in that month, I felt fantastic. My energy was through the roof. I had no tummy upset or anything. I was training for a half marathon and thinking, how's this going to work? Because you're so ingrained about, like, you know, carbs. Yeah. And I was on nothing, like no grain products, right? And yet I ran my fastest half marathon, and I actually ended up curing my frozen shoulder, which is a condition that can take up to 3 years to resolve. And from start to finish for me, it was over in less than 9 months.
Wow. Yeah. So completely different experience with the same idea.
Right? Yeah. So great example of really listening to our own selves, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And one size, like you said, definitely doesn't fit all. And it's so valuable to learn that we don't have to go outside of ourselves for everything, get the information, and then see how it fits for you, because each person is very individual.
Yep.
Yeah. I love it. It's a great topic. I could talk about it for hours. So anyways, we'll move on. I'm curious to hear what self-care actually means to you, Ramona.
Well, it's really that self word, right? It's about listening to the self. Because like I said, I went through that health issue of this, unexplained kind of mystery illness. It was going on for about 2 years. Doctors were shaking their heads, naturopaths too. You know, I'm doing all the things. And so I've really learned self-care for me means truly tuning in and paying attention to what myself really needs and wants.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah. Really walking the walk of what I'm sharing with people, right? And so and I loved how you did that today. You know, you're like, you know what? Yeah, I need to slow down. I need to like take that break day or that rest day or whatever it might be. That is, I think, for me, the true definition of self-care.
Thanks for sharing that. I wholeheartedly agree. Now, I've combined self-care with courage purposefully because I feel like self-care does take a lot of courage. It's always a stretch to go beyond what is our current experience. And when we're stretching ourselves, it's uncomfortable. There's fear involved. Like my fear yesterday of taking the day off is, will I be able to get everything done? And then I assessed, absolutely. I still have plenty of time. And even if I don't, there's probably things that I think are important that aren't. So I overcame that fear by knowing that I needed to take good care of myself and take a break. So courage is, it's a collective energy, and we benefit from hearing other people being in the energy of courage. So what I want to know in this courageous moment is something that most people don't know about you.
Some people, well, a lot of people don't know this about me. So I loved how you shared, you're all about self-care, and yet you were kind of feeling you were push, and maybe like not being, following what you share with people. And I'm all about, listening to your inner voice and paying attention to that and taking action to that. But there was a year in my business where I was like totally off track. I mean, it was red flag after red flag after red flag. My intuition was telling me stuff, and I'm like, no, it's, I was kind of like the head again, the ego, very seductive, right? Taking me way, way, way over. And in the end, I learned a very painful and expensive lesson. So again, I say there's no mistakes, there are learning opportunities, but that became very clear to me in that moment that, wow, I really need to course correct and get back on track. But that just showed me why it's even more important for me to do the work that I'm doing and share with people about why it's important to listen to our inner guidance, and that we're all human and we do all fall down, and we we've all had those times, right? We're like, maybe that's not the right job to take, or I shouldn't date that person or whatever. And we do. And then we're like, oh, I should have listened, right? So we've done it. But what most people don't know about me is that, yeah, even I into that trap, and I'm all about being authentic. I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm who I am. I want my clients and so on to know that, like, I've walked the walk. I know where they are. I know how easy it is to get dissuaded and distracted. So, we have that common ground there.
Yeah. And for a long time for me, I was kind of embarrassed to share if I wasn't living the way that I teach people to live. And then I had this really strong realization that, oh, right, I tend to lean towards perfectionism, and it is not in my best interest to keep it to myself. If I'm struggling, then people can't even relate to me. And so self-care, like I have a very deep understanding that I teach what I need to learn, and I need to learn self-care. So the more I talk about it and tell other people how it has worked best for me, then everyone benefits. And so the newer version of me, like you said, is about authenticity. It's about sharing that absolutely we go through the struggles, and just because we're experts in a topic doesn't mean that we are perfect at it. It means that we can course correct after challenges and know what to do, but often it still takes that courage and those challenges to crystallize what it is that we want to teach.
Yeah. And I mean, people have a pretty strong bullshit detector, right? So they know when they see it, like, everything is so perfect, and right? It's like, I never struggled, and you can too if you follow my 10-step system or whatever it is. Like, no, like, I want to see the behind the scenes, in the trenches, knowing what somebody else is going through, because that does make, you relatable, right? They're like, they see themselves in you, and they're like, oh, I'm not such a one-off, like everybody's struggling in this area, right? So I think the more authentic you are, the better service you're providing to people.
Absolutely. And I also feel like authenticity and intuition are good buddies. Like, the more authentic you can be, the better you will be able to access your intuition, because it's about trust. It's about trusting yourself. It's about trusting your guidance. And it's also about not living for other people. It's about living for yourself.
Absolutely. Well said.
Thanks. It just came out. So I know people are going to have questions for you. They're going to want to know more information. And that's the benefit of having you not just speak at the festival, but we get to connect you with all the listeners all over the world. So where can people find you online?
They can find me at my website. It's RamonaRemesat.com. And in the meantime, before the festival, if they're interested in picking up a few intuition tips and tools to strengthen their intuitive muscle, they can tune in to my live stream. It's called Get Into It, every Tuesday at 11:30 Mountain Time, which is 1:30 Eastern. And that's at facebook.com/Ramona Remesat.
Awesome. That sounds like fun and a great way to experience interaction in real time.
Yeah, I love teaching. I could all day long, all day, every day. So it's tricky for me. I keep them short. I keep those things short, because I know people, time is a commodity, hot commodity. But yeah, I love doing them. So by all means, please come watch, and that would be great.
Awesome. So at the festival, if you are able to come, the first 100 attendees are getting amazing swag bags filled with all sorts of goodies. I was thinking about how excited I am about them while I was lying in bed this morning. Like, I was thinking about swag bags. So Ramona, what are you contributing?
I'm contributing a cute little angel ornament that you can hang on your Christmas tree or wherever you want. You can almost even use it as a bookmark. Part of that, though, is to be a subconscious reminder that we need to ask for help, right? We all have access to our intuition, intuitive guidance, but it's kind of one of those things that unless we ask for that, it won't come forward, right? Because of the law of free will. So you could hang it up as a visual reminder, like, oh yeah, I need to ask for help. I need to ask for some guidance before I can have it show up. So along with that, they'll get a cute little postcard that talks about the 2019 forecast readings that I do every year. And that's where I walk you through the whole year month by month, and you get a specific message about each month of the new year. And one of my clients calls it her secret set of cheat sheets for each year, which is kind of neat to know, what do I need to pay attention to, be on the lookout for, that kind of stuff. So they'll get all the information about how they can access the 2019 forecast reading.
That is such a thoughtful contribution. I love it. And I'm so excited for people to receive that. Thank you for your great ideas.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you are local, you're here in Calgary or nearby, we would absolutely love for you to come to the festival and to make it really easy, a no-brainer. If you're feeling like, yeah, I think I noticed that I'm giving to everyone else and not to myself, or perhaps like Ramona said, you're feeling overwhelmed and just in frantic chaos, and a day of me time and connection with like-minded people all seeking the same thing with great energy would be a wonderful solution. I just want to make it really easy for you. And as a thank you for listening today, I would love to gift you a ticket. So you can go and get that at selfcareticket.com. You'll see the website that has all the information about the speakers and the vendors who will be there in the wellness marketplace. And then there are little buttons you can click that say activate your ticket. So you just go there, fill in your information, and you'll get everything you need to know about the festival. If you aren't local, too bad for you. But you did get to be in Ramona's great energy today, and I'm interviewing all of the other speakers, so be sure to tune in again. Ramona, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your expertise and your authenticity.
Thank you, Christina. I always have so much fun with you, so thank you.
My pleasure. So if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to give it a like. You can share it with your friends. You can leave a comment. Those are fun for us to read and let us know that we're on the right track. And look forward to connecting with you again next time. Bye-bye for now.